Welcome back to the On Deck Circle podcast brought to you by the Fantasy Six Pack. I am your tired host because of daylight savings time, but I am so glad because as you can see behind me, which way? That way, it is still light outside. I love recording when it's still light outside. Jason, how was your first 2 days of daylight savings going?
Man, I think we talked about this maybe, I don't know when. It's been brought up in the past about this topic. What is your favorite month
Oh,
for
yeah.
sports? And I remember specifically saying October was my favorite. And I want to say you may have said March. And I'm starting to come around on March because we got all this great stuff happening where I'm up to my neck in fantasy baseball drafts. College basketball's in full swing. Spring training's in full swing. So I'm kind of coming around to the March as being one of my favorite sports months too. Daylight savings time, like you mentioned. We now have 7 p.m. sunsets and later from now till like October. So all is good in the world, and March is now becoming one of my more favorite months.
I love to hear that. And what is great is I did not recycle a cold open question of the week, and I have a brand new one. And it's kind of seasonal related. I want you to tell me, what is your favorite seasonal candy? All right. 3, 2, 1, play the music. All right, Jason, what do we got?
Tough question, because like most of the candy I like is around, I think, like just year round. But when you first said that, I went to my favorite season, which is fall, and I'm sure you have them in the Northeast as well as here. And it's those like caramel apple suckers.
Yeah.
It's like an apple sucker, but like the caramel's like kind of like sporadically put on the outside of the sucker.
Now, do you call all lollipops suckers?
Yeah, I think so. Is that a Midwest thing? Because we definitely do not call things lollipops here. That's
I've never called something a sucker. No.
No. Oh,
No.
that's
I knew what you were talking about, but like if you had like a blow pop, you'd say, or like a Tootsie Roll pop, you'd be like, that's a sucker.
Yeah, that's crazy.
No.
I didn't know that's like a regional thing. I didn't know that. Kind of like you call it soda, we call it pop.
Yeah,
it's like one of those things.
Exactly.
Interesting. It's one of those things I never knew about.
And look at this. We are 3 minutes in, and we're already learning here on the On Deck Circle podcast. The only reason I brought this up is right before I came into my little recording studio, grabbed a handful of jelly beans. Big Easter jelly bean guy. But like give me like a Jolly Rancher jelly bean, Sour Patch Kid jelly beans, Nerd jelly beans.
I was saying nerds are one of my favorite jelly beans.
So what originally also made me think of this question was I recently had a conversation and like, what's the best holiday candy? And people are like Halloween. Some people really like
with a Christmas tree Reese's,
like Christmas tree things. I think Easter, awful holiday.
Awful.
It's you have ham. I'm out on Easter. But give me the candy, bar none. Because I'm not a big Peeps guy, but people love Peeps.
Don't tell me you're a Peeps guy.
Oh no, I will eat them, but like I'm not like a cult Peeps guy. Like my dad, we just buy him Peeps and he'll just like eat them for the rest of the year. So big Easter candy guy.
Nice. All right, well, this week we're going to continue on. I also shout out to Bob. Last week was epic. I loved that whole expert draft strategy. If you haven't checked it out, go back to last week's episode. Super informative, super fun, chilling with Bob, talking draft strategy. But this week, we're back to our positional previews. We're gonna go with our middle infield this week, and then we got sleepers, breakouts, busts, prospects to talk about. So before we get into that, though, Nick, let's talk about Fantrax. Have you been playing your leagues on Fantrax? I'm sure you have, because I know I have. Why don't you tell the people about Fantrax?
Jason, I'm not going to tell you about Fantrax. I'm going to tell you a testimonial about Fantrax. Give me about 2 minutes and I will be done with it. About 5 years ago, I was on a certain 4-letter network for a fantasy baseball year. And you know what? I think it was the year, it was more than 4 because Yoan Moncada just got signed. So this was a very long time ago. And I said, oh, okay, gonna go on ESPN, gotta sign the Red Sox new big thing. Do you know who wasn't there, Jason?
Moncada.
Yoan Moncada. Then I said, no. And I brought it up to my commissioner. They were like, oh, yeah, that's fucking crazy. He was like the biggest prospect since sliced bread at that point.
Yeah.
So we actually moved our league onto Fantrax. And you can find Yoan Moncada's 13-year-old cousin right now on Fantrax. Yeah. It is the only place to home your leagues. I've made my friends even move football leagues on there, and that's not easy to do. So it goes without being said, it is the only thing that I will use, especially for baseball. It is the one and only platform to use for baseball.
Yeah, I mean, Dynasty is a no-brainer, but yeah, even season-long leagues have been super top-notch. The Fantasy 6-Pack series is on there. We're drafting that right now. So yeah, get on over to fantrax.com/fantasy 6-Pack. Start a league or move your league over today. Now, like always, we're going to start with our middle infield sleepers, and I will give it to you first. We'll talk about your sleeper. We're going to talk about your guy now, Trevor Story.
Yeah. Do you know what really sucks, Jason, is before I sent you this, after I sent you this, do you know who got scratched and might be hurt?
Trevor Story.
Trevor Story. So take all of this diatribe with a grain of salt because he might be hurt. Because you know what? Trevor Story is always hurt. But yeah, man, he's going pick 260. So about where you're at currently in your draft. So yep. I'm just saying the productivity has been there. Dude, I'm sure you don't know Trevor Story's like spring training right now.
Mm-hmm.
But in 21 at-bats, he's hitting 476, 2 homers, I don't know how to read OPS, but it's 1.405, which seems good because it's 4 numbers and with 5 extra base hits. He's just someone that I'm trying to target late drafts just because, especially in a TGFBI league where you need that middle infielder, that extra player. So he's definitely someone I'm looking at late, and he still can steal bases. It's just a matter if he's on the field. And unfortunately today he was not on the field. And again, I had to, you'll find out later, but I had to pick a Red Sox player. So this is my Red Sox player.
Gotcha. I like it. I know we've talked about, with being a Boston Red Sox homer podcast here. I know we've talked about Trevor Story a bunch of times, but yeah, you called this signing back in our free agent frenzy. He was going to be sliding over to second base for the Red Sox. If he can stay healthy, this is a phenomenal sleeper at that pick. And talking about like depending on the size of the league, but you're talking about like past the 20th round for a starting second baseman on a great offense. Sign me up for all of that.
All day.
All right, well, next guy I'm going to go here. Unfortunately, we're not off to a good start because my guy, even though I picked him, he is hurt as well, and that's Zach Neto. But with that being said, he's only going to be delayed a little bit, and this is a season. Most of our leagues are season long, and so you can, kind of, find some other one to fill in. We're talking about sleepers here, guys taken at the end of the draft here. But that's, always had really great, solid bat-to-ball skills. It's got a great source for, especially in BA leagues. I know we're in the middle of TGFBI right now, and I in some other leagues now that I'm kind of getting back into our BA leagues. But even in on-base percentage, he gets draws the great walks, awesome steals. The power mint the power development can be there as well. We've seen him kind of show some flashes of power. I think he can easily grow into like a 15, 20 home run guy consistently. He's going to have, obviously, I didn't pull his ADP, but I actually pulled up. Bob inspired me last week, and I've kind of pulled in the ADP data from the last 3 weeks. And right now, Neto is 196 ADP. So probably right around the same range of Trevor Story we were talking about. But I'm all in on Zach Neto. Especially the biggest thing, unfortunately, with Neto is his injury concerns, and he's kind of dealing with some injuries now. But yeah, I think he gives you that nice power speed combo that you're looking for. Somebody you can grab late in the drafts. You miss out on some of these top middle infielders. Give me all the Zach Neto at 196.
I love that one, man. And again, he's not going to be out for that long. Like he's in the recovery stage of his injury because that came from last year. But yeah, love that, especially with where he's at. And even more so, I wrote down Zach Neto's name because I would rather have him at his price than the guy that I'm about to talk about if it's the bust part of the show.
Well, I don't know if it's a bust pick just yet, but we do have Joe Bond in the chat here. He's got a question for us. Are we buying the dip on Jackson Holiday and redraft this season? I believe we talked about this back in the free agency, but I am all back in on Jackson Holiday. I think I saw something today or yesterday. Gunnar Henderson maybe missing some time. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what their plan is fully, but I know. Let's see what Holiday's in the last 3 weeks. Holiday's dipped to even, so you can get him later than we just talked about with Zach Neto. Jackson Holiday right now is only being drafted at 204 ADP. So I don't know about you. I know I'm back in on Jackson Holiday. I mean, this kid talking about a kid is still only 20 years old.
Yeah,
not giving up on Jackson Holiday that quickly. I think he can definitely bounce back, and but he's gonna if he gets some playing time.
Definitely no way did I give up on him in Dynasty, and I think for sure in like a redraft setting, you should definitely be picking him at where he is for sure.
Yeah, and Chad came here for the right purpose because he must know that this is a Boston Red Sox friendly show, and he wants to know if you missed the Christian Campbell talk yet.
How did I not? I didn't even think of it, Jason.
I know I was de factoing that comment to you because I know that you're the Mr. Red Sox. So
that's me. Wow.
We can only have so much Red Sox talk.
Yeah.
On the On Deck Circle, otherwise what's going to be called like the Green Monster Podcast or whatever. But yeah. You have not missed any of the Christian Campbell talk.
Not yet.
So from sleepers, we usually go right into our busts. That's usually that's the flow we've been going. So we're gonna talk about your guy here next. Why don't you go ahead and hit him with us with that?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Jason, but I'm going with your favorite. No, I'm going with Dansby Swanson of the Cubs. Just if you look at what he's done, he's really regressed every single year since 2022. And I just think it's going to continue to go that way. He's a far better real baseball player than a fantasy asset, which is fine. Like he's a great player. He's a great shortstop. He can play the position, but he's just not someone I'm targeting at his current ADP of 174. So like I said before, I would take Neto 1,000%, even with the extra time off with his injury, and then you just get like a plug and play guy at the end of the draft. But yeah, just Swanson's someone that he's getting a little bit long in the tooth, the very old age of 31. I know as I was walking into my podcast studio, I pulled something in my groin and I had so much pain. I thought I had to cancel the podcast tonight, Jason. Almost did it. I almost texted and said, "Hey, Jason, something happened. I can't do it." But yeah, so Swanson's just someone I'm trying to avoid. And I have 0 shares, Dynasty, redraft, best ball, nothing. But as you are the Cubby fan, where do you stand on Swanson?
Yeah, no, I'm out on Swanson. Like you said, he's definitely one of those better defense first baseball player than he's a fantasy baseball player. I think, not to knock the Cubs when they signed him because he was coming off of a really great season coming out of Atlanta. Number 1 overall pick back, I don't know, probably about 6 years ago now. But yeah, no, for fantasy purposes, I am out on Dansby Swanson.
Glad we agree. Sorry for bringing up a Cubby.
No worries, man. We gotta hit both homers, right? Whether it be bust or sleeper.
Yeah, you're right.
We're talking, if you come down next circle, you're gonna hear Cubs and you're gonna hear Red Sox talk. All right, my bust though is gonna be Marcus Semien of the Texas Rangers. I've seen this guy start to steadily decline over and over and over again. Right now, he's being drafted inside the top 100, and he's now the 5th second baseman off the board currently. The regression in power is for real. Semien had a career year in 2021 with 45 home runs. I don't think we'll ever see that again. I don't even know if we'll even get close to that. He'll still be able to get 20, 25, maybe 30 home runs, depending on what we can see here. But when you draft Semien, you draft him for the power. It's always been his number 1 fantasy contribution, has been the home runs. We've just seen that dip and that regression full swing. Sorry about that. We got a little dog action in the back. But yeah, and it's always, not only has the home run been this calling card, the batting average has always just been so inconsistent. How can you count on it? We've seen him, bat anywhere from like in the 220 range, even 277 in 2021. I think you're going to get more in that 220 to 240 range, and you're going to get that 270 hitter. So you're getting a regression in power. You can't count him on for high batting average. He's now in his early 30s. The strikeouts are continuing to increase. I just don't think it's something that I'm definitely. I had never targeted Marcus Semien, and I'm all for, especially inside the top 100. Pass on all of that.
Yeah, I'm totally with you there. Again, we're talking about these guys that are in that early 30s where you really see the decline, especially in the, not saying Semien stealing a bunch of bases, but that's just when the body starts to break down. And I think that what did you say his ADP was?
I'm looking at it right now. His ADP in the last 3 weeks is at 92.
Yeah.
And he's got a min of 58 somewhere in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, that is crazy. So definitely out on that all the way up. I like yours better than I like mine.
Yeah, like I said, he's the 5th second baseman being drafted. I'm sure you can pass on that and find way better second baseman.
I'd rather Jackson Holiday.
Yeah.
And then using it would be Jackson Holiday with up drafting another player up. But yes, give me Jackson Holiday at whatever pick he's going to, then that one for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Those were our busts and our sleepers and busts. Before we get into the rest of the stuff, I got to talk about some business here. Do you want to get some of this great content you're seeing now and even more? We got great rankings on the site. We got a personal Discord. You can come in there and ask personal questions, league-specific questions. There's a bunch of great content on the website. But in order to do that, you got to become an all-access member today. In order to do that, you got to go to fantasysixpack.net/plans. Sign up to become a member today. It's not much more than a cup of coffee that you're going to spend in a month, one time at Starbucks. Or should I not say that? I'm not sure. Non-sponsored. But get on over to fantasysixpack.net/plan for less than a cup of coffee a month. You can become a member. All right. Now let's get into some of our breakouts. And before we get into this next guy, let's talk about what happened last night when I was prepping the show. And I said, at
yeah.
It was 11:30 Central Time. Brain was on empty. And I'm like, wait a minute. We have Jazz Chisholm. He doesn't qualify at middle infield. And so I'm like, I know Nick's not available, but
I'm a big sleeper. For those that don't know, I'm we need to record early. I have to go to bed.
And so I texted Nick knowing that he wouldn't respond. And I was like, that's fine. I'll deal with it tomorrow. So I'm getting the prep sheet ready and everything. And then you texted me as I had a brain fart. And you're like, I was first of all shocked that you texted me back at past midnight Eastern time and said, don't worry, he'll play there, or he'll qualify at second base. He's going to play there. And I said, oh shit, you're right.
Yep. And then this morning, I texted Jason. I was like, I do not remember sending you that text.
So walk me through
I
that. Did you wake up to go to the bathroom, or were you still awake?
No, it was just like a wake up and then like check like the Celtic score or something because I like fell asleep during it or something like that.
Okay.
And then I was like, oh, I got a text from Jason. And I was like, oh no, but like to have like the brain width to be like, nah, he's playing second base.
Yeah.
Was
yeah.
very
I brain farted at the end of the night, and you woke up ready to be like, no, man, he's going to qualify there. I'm like, yeah, good call.
Yeah. So this is actually a tough one for me because it is the Yankees, but the Yankees have had a tough week. They are losing Garrett Cole. I know this is not a pitching episode, but Garrett Cole, Tommy John, couldn't happen to a worse guy. I'm just kidding. He's not a bad guy. He just
mark your calendars. Tuesday, March 11th at 5:50 p.m. Central Time. Nick is endorsing a New York Yankee that's not a prospect. I don't know if it's been done on this podcast before. Continue.
I don't know if it has either. But Jazz is someone that I really love. And you might be thinking, listener, how can Jazz Chisholm be a break-in? He's currently around pick 25, like a top 25 guy. Well, I'm here to tell you that next year, Jazz Chisholm, top 12, top 10 guy in your drafts. He's still only 27, and it's just a full year in Yankee Stadium. He basically matched his home run. So he hit 13 homers last year in Miami in 101 games. With the Yankees in 46 games, he hit 11 and stole 18 bases. We are talking about a very viable 30-30 guy and just a full year there. My only concern, which is everyone's concern with Jazz, is staying healthy. Fully aware of that. But as I also said, he is going to get second base. He's going to have third base, and he's going to have outfield. Those are three very important positions. One, because you get the middle infield, you have the corner infield, you have second base, you have third base, and you have the outfield. Those are just like little ways to win your league is just being able to maneuver guys. And I think Jazz is like the kind of the pinnacle, really. I don't know if there's another guy, maybe like a Mookie Betts. He's kind of like the same type of thing. But that's kind of what I see for a ceiling for Jazz is like a Mookie Betts type of output. And I'm not saying he's going to win the MVP or anything, but just someone that I'm believing in a lot this year. And I'm trying to get him wherever I can. And I'm I don't own Yankees, but Jazz Chisholm, I'll make an exception for.
Yeah, I love this. We saw Jazz really explode after getting out of Miami last year. I think sometimes it takes some of these players to get out of that losing culture and into a winning culture to really, excel. I mean, you're talking about a guy that's 6 home runs short of a 30-40 season. 30-30, I think, is definitely on the table this year. Again, like you said, stay healthy, which hopefully he will be able to. And I think there's no reason why he doesn't go 30-30. And I definitely think he can even go 30-40. I mean, like I said, how many home runs? I mean, it was like an insane amount of home runs once he went to New York.
He had 11 in 46 games with the Yankees. And I'm pretty sure like 4 of them might have happened in like one weekend. I think he just hit like 4 straight days. He hit a home run or something like that.
Right. I mean, and we've seen lefties excel in Yankee Stadium. So not only does he get out of Miami in that losing culture, but he gets into a winning culture in New York, as well as a more hitter-friendly right field porch than it was in Miami. So I think you see an uptick in the home runs. The stolen bases will still be there. And I think, especially in an OBP league, it's somebody that, that wants to be one of his knocks too, is that he was never a really good OBP guy. But I think in a league like this, if he can get some of this protection around him in that lineup, we can see even an uptick in the OBP as well. And yeah, you're right. I'm looking right now, his ADP is in the second round. But if you're talking about a guy you're going to get 30-40 out of in the second round,
like
crazy. And going to be multiple position eligibility. He's going to have second, third, and outfield this year.
Yeah. So it's good shit, man. I'm telling you. I wouldn't steer the listeners wrong.
Yeah, man. All right, well, that's good. That's a solid sleeper. I'm going to talk about my guy that I've been hyping up all preseason here. I even wrote about him in my middle infield breakouts this year. And that's
Oh,
Masyn
nice.
Yeah, I wrote about him in the, like I said, the middle infielder article that I wrote for the website a couple weeks ago. I'm all in on Masyn Winn. We saw him come up last year in his first full year with the Cardinals. Super solid production. He's showing strong improvements in his plate discipline and contact rates. He's be able to hit for a high average. Really good on base percentage. Once he gets on base, we've seen the elite speed. Definitely can steal 20 to 30 bases for you. Which is obviously going to be a really huge asset for you in the roto leagues. I mean, I think everybody at this point is getting 20 stolen bases just because of the new rules. So I could even see him getting into 30 stolen bases for sure again. We've seen him do it again at the minor league level. I think it's translating pretty well to the major league level. I think he's still young and still got some development to go in his maturity. I think he can definitely get into the 15, 20 home run range consistently. I think that's a reasonable expectation. Really solid defender is going to keep him in that lineup. They don't really have anyone knocking on the door to take his place at shortstop. He set the lead off for the Cardinals all year, which is obviously going to help with the stolen base attempts as well as the runs being scored. I think he can be able to return 80 to 100 runs and 20 stolen bases for this year. So, and I it's so hard to tell because the ADP is changing so much nowadays with the all the drafts going on. Right now, he's being drafted at 150, ADP of 150. So,
Yeah, dude,
all the Masyn Winn.
I love him. And I actually reached out to you earlier this week because I was trying to get him in a dynasty league. I ended up doing it, which is great. But we had the conversation. The way I'm thinking about things now is the same. I'm thinking like him and Jackson Holiday. Winn was better than Holiday last year, but like if these guys didn't come up last year, they would be top 3 prospects, and you wouldn't be able to acquire them.
Yeah.
So like you just have to kind of put that filter on because Winn's 22. That's nuts. For him to do what he did last year at the age of 22 is something special. And in my research before I did make my trade, he said he wants 40 bases.
Yeah.
If you can get 20-40 out of your shortstop in 150, you said the pick was ish.
Yeah. So depending on your size of the league, outside your top 10.
Yeah.
Top 10
Easy.
rounds.
Give me that every time. Love this one, Chase.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, down on the farm. We don't have that music anymore, but
maybe we can get it soon.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's more to come on the down on the farm redux. I don't know how you want to pronounce it. Part 2 redo. More of that comes. Let's talk about some prospects here. And I love your guy here, so why don't you go and talk to us about Tyson Lewis?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Tyson Lewis here. He's someone that he's yet to debut. He was last year's second round pick for the Reds. When you think Reds, you think toolsy middle infielders, and that's exactly what this guy is. Very much might be out of the league in 3-4 years, or he's going to be fantastic. I'm kind of seeing more of like a Carson Williams type build here from the Rays. He's got the speed. He's got middling to above average power, and it's just someone that I know in my one first-year player draft, I did draft him. And he's someone that I'm definitely trying to watch this year, seeing where he ends up and where he ends. Because, like I said, the Reds are pretty quick with these middle infield guys. And if he can show that he's if he can show that he's worthy, he will get maybe up to AA if he can really prove it. But I'm really just betting on the athlete here. And like, that's kind of what you want here. We easily could say somebody that's like a top 3 prospect in like a top 3 shortstop.
Right.
But this is just kind of like your swing. Like I picked him in the second round. I think it was pick like 32 or something like that. So definitely someone that I'm keeping an eye on this season.
Yeah, I know. I love it. I think we kind of nailed that on the head. Like a lot of times these newer guys too, because not spoiled, but I have a 2024 draftee as well. There's not a lot of exposure to them. Some of them, people may not have heard of them, especially those later round picks. Some of them don't even play in 2024 after their college seasons. Pitchers especially, hitters sometimes. So I think getting exposure and a spotlight on some of these guys that we are talking about is always good. And I like the Tyson Lewis pick. My guy, like I said, not spoiled too much, but he was also a 2024 draftee, and that's Christian Moore of the Angels.
Nice.
He was, drafted last summer, 8th overall by the Angels. One of the top college hitters in the draft coming out of Tennessee. Had a really solid track record at Tennessee last couple of years. He's got a really solid approach at the plate. Can really be selective, and he can draw walks. Still has a lot of power upside, and he could easily reach, I think, 25 home runs in his peak. Sprays the ball to all fields. His last 25 games last year at both single, and he made it all the way to Double-A last year, so he did get some rep. I think a lot of that was the Single-A season ended early, so they give them some extra run. They bring him up to Double-A, but either way, slashed 347, 400, 584, 6 home runs, 20 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, and all that within 25 games last year. So I could see him, depending on what the Angels are, Angels are never really competitive, but if for some reason, again, they're not, I could see him making a debut sometime here in the middle of this season, maybe sometime right after the All-Star break. If not, end of the season for sure in September when the call-ups happen. Christian Moore.
Yeah, he's another one that, since it is kind of like that first-year player draft season between December and now,
Yep.
He's someone I've really been getting familiar with. And I don't know if you saw it. Did you see him? There's a video on YouTube, him against the pitcher that shall not be named. Trevor Bauer. It was Trevor Bauer, and he rocked him. You should check out the video.
Where was this at? Was this like on like the backfields or something? Like on the
it was in some sort of like indoor facility. I don't know. It was who's the JUCO kid? I don't know his name. There's like a baseball influencer. I think.
Oh yeah, King of JUCO.
Yes, him. So it was him, Bauer, and Christian Moore.
Okay.
And I just love Christian Moore's build. Me, body guy, but like he's built like a shit brick house, as my grandfather would say.
Yep.
Just like very like stout and just ripped. So I'm excited to see what he does. And the Angels are very aggressive. For a team that sucks, you would think, like, why are they being so like all of these guys get like Neto.
I'll say someone talked about Neto.
Like this team has to be good soon. Because like they have all these guys that can hit and get on base. Those seem to be the tools that like Nolan Chanel, who I talked about a bunch last year. The guy just gets on base. They're not hitting 40 homers, but they get on base. I think the Angels might be not good, but like if they can just get some real power bat, I think they're in good shape. So maybe Christian Moore could do that.
Yeah. Like I said, we've seen the Angels time and time again push the limit with how quickly they fast line these guys to the majors. Chanel, the same year he was drafted, got made his major league debut. I think Zach Zetterlund did the same thing, if I'm not mistaken. Correct? He was drafted and then made his debut this year.
Ben Joyce,
same thing. So I would not even be shocked if sooner than later Christian Moore is in the Angels major league roster. Before we get out of here, though, I got some breaking news.
What?
Nothing too crazy, but it's breaking news because we're talking about middle infielders. Hae-Sung Kim, AAA for the Dodgers, will not start with the team major league roster.
Oh, they're not bringing him to Japan?
No. Shocking.
Oh, that seems like a mistake.
Right? And what's funny is I asked you about him in our first year player draft, and
you want to know what's very funny? I thought you meant the other Kim for the Rays. I was like, oh, he's hurt.
Well, either way, I'm glad I didn't take him. I got Cam Smith instead of Hae-Sung Kim. The only reason I was contemplating Hae-Sung Kim was because I need a major league second baseman. And at 6 overall, I thought it may have been some good value, but I'm glad I didn't. I got Cam Smith.
Wow, I'm very surprised by this. I wonder what that means. So, like Tommy Edman just playing second base?
Yeah.
And then who's the outfield? Maybe Pages? Pajes? I don't know. Whatever. Just to put all the money.
But yeah, that was kind of shocking to me. Like I said, they're going to Japan, I think, this weekend, correct? I think they already left. I think the Cubs already left today.
The next time that we record,
we will have major league games to talk about.
Wow. You know what? I'm going to be nice here. Dodgers money line.
Oh, come on, man. Not even like a -2.5 and like the Cubs just cover it.
No, but do you know what we will do? We will text each other a pick like Monday night just to get the ball rolling on that because that was fun.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get back into a little
You hit it. I wasn't even expecting it.
Maybe we can hit some futures or talk some futures next week.
Yeah.
We're getting real close to the start of the season. So
yeah, I'm down.
All right, Nick. Well, that's going to do it for this week's middle infield preview, and we'll be back next week. I think we're going on to, we only got a few left, outfielders and pitchers.
Yeah, sweet.
Awesome. Talk next week.